I was born in Washington, D.C. However, I was raised in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. My mom, she graduated Georgetown University. Shortly after she graduated, she died in 1990. I was 1 year old. And my dad, he's been in prison since I was one as well. So I was raised by my great aunt. A drug-infested neighborhood. It's just jack boys, D-boys, and drug users, right? So my great aunt that raised me, she was an alcoholic, she was a gambler. So at a young age, I realized, okay, I'm gonna have to provide for myself because she can barely provide for me, right? So she couldn't afford school clothes, school shoes, up to about when I was 12, right? Her alcoholism and gambling habit was super bad. They called her the lotto lady, right? She would get money for me from my white side of my family, right? And not spend it on me. So it was like I was put in a situation, I was a financial pawn. And my black side of my family wouldn't allow me to go live with my white side of my family. They were much more well off, right? So my dad kind of used me as a financial pawn to do his time. Having my great aunt send him money, he knew if he gave me up, then he wouldn't be getting that money while he was doing his time, right? So I was like 12 years old. I was into sports. I was playing basketball, played basketball middle school and high school. And I remember one time we went to J.C. Penney's and Sears to buy me school clothes, and the card was declined, right? And it was like summertime. It was about to be school time. Card declined. She had no money. So I went on the block. I told my homies, I'm like, man, look, I'm about to start trapping. And I'm like 12 at the time. They're like, man, you tripping. And I shot out the street light. So I started short stopping on the street over from where all the dope fiends go to. But I knew they'd come through here, the ones that were scared to go down the main road, right? So I shot out the light and I started running up to cars. I'm like, hey, what you want? And I told them to spin a block. They said 200. I said, spin a block, I'm gonna go get it real quick. And first time I did, I sold some sheetrock. Boom, got the 200. And then I went and bought an 8-ball. Bought an 8-ball and I sold it, right? When I sold it, I went to TJ Maxx, bought myself some clothes, went to Hibbett's, bought myself some shoes. I was broke and I stopped. So now I had school clothes, school shoes. And but I changed the prices in the TJ Maxx. I made everything, because I didn't have much money. I made like $300. So I changed the prices. I put the shorts tag on the shorts that cost like $4.99, but the shorts really cost like $50, and I made it $4.99. And so I got probably like 10, 15 outfits for like $150. And fast forward, I'm 14. Now I'm full-fledged. I'm trapping full-time now. It happened again when I was going to 9th grade. Card declined. She couldn't buy me shoes and clothes. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm doing, right? But 13, I was dabbling a little bit, but I wasn't doing it full-time. 14, full-time. I gave up on sports. I stopped playing sports. I played basketball, high school, Chattahoochee High School, and I just became so discouraged. You know what I mean? Like when you're in high school, they'll bully you about the clothes that you got on and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm about to just full-time trap. So now it got to a point that where guys didn't want to serve me on the block in my neighborhood, right? And my uncle, my dad's brother, he was a crackhead, but he was like respected. You know what I mean? They got different OGs in the hood that smoke that people respect and some people don't respect, right? So my uncle started putting me on game. He was like, nephew, you need a commodity that the dealers want, and then they'll deal with you. So I'm like, okay. They like the in-dash, they like the car stereo stuff. So I end up finessing, going to get car stereo stuff, and I'm coming out there. Now they all running to me. So I'm like, nah, I want straight drop. I don't want the water. I learned the difference between the different drugs, you know what I mean? Because they would try to finesse as well, to give me some watered down dope, and then my clientele like, nah, youngster, I'm not coming back. So that's when I started having the mindset of an entrepreneur. Okay, I got to build my clientele if I really want to start making money, right? So I'm smoking weed a little bit, and I'm like, man, I don't like smoking weed. I want to make money. Stop smoking weed. So my homeboys that was hanging around me just to smoke for free, they kind of like faded away. And I didn't care about being seen on the block running to cars, right? And all my homeboys, they were afraid that their parents were going to find out. I didn't care. My great aunt, she wasn't taking care of me. So it was like, okay, I'm in survival mode. And they wouldn't allow me to go live with my mom's side of my family. So one summer, before I said, okay, I'm gonna go full-fledged, I'm trapping full-time, I was in Chicago with my aunt, and I'm like, hey, aunt, I wanna live with you. Because it was night and day. Like, when I went up there, I'm like, man, she live in a nice neighborhood and fed me all the time. I ate like 4 times when I was there. I barely ate at my great aunt's house, you know what I mean? I probably ate 1 meal and then some cereal or some ramen noodles or something, right? And I said, can I please come live with you? I was playing basketball at the time. She was like, yeah, if your great aunt says yes. Call my great aunt, she said no. So I already had my mind made up. When I get back to Florida, I'm trapping, I'm not playing sports no more. I just gave up on the dreams of being an athlete, right? So by the time I was 16, I'm selling everything I get my hands on. Crack, coke, lower tabs, Xanax, weed, and I'm in high school. And I remember I'm trapping in high school, and the CO, the officer in high school, was starting to get on my trail. So I end up not taking the weed. I used to hide it in my drawers. Then I stopped doing that because they start bringing the dogs. You know how they bring them by the lockers? So I'm hiding it in the roof, in the bathroom. And I would text people and tell them, I was serving a whole football team. And I'm selling them Purple Haze. I had the high grade, I had a connection with the Purple Haze. So one day I'm in the bathroom. I had like 2 ounces in the roof, right? And I had it wrapped up so it couldn't smell it, right? So I had a guy meet me in there, and while I'm in there going in the roof, the janitor caught me. So I snatched it all out and I ran. I just left the school. They had me on camera. So the next day they called me to the office, and it was Coach Arthur. He was the principal. He drug tested his son. His son had THC in the system. So he was like, look, I know you supplying my son. Nobody told me, but I caught you on camera. My janitor caught you. I'm gonna give you an ultimatum. You either, I'm gonna expel you when I catch you, or you withdraw out the school yourself. Automatically in my head, I'm like, man, I'm tired of going to school anyways, right? So I'm like, okay, cool, we're gonna withdraw. I'll withdraw. So I went home, I told my great aunt, like, look, they're gonna kick me out of school and I'm gonna be expelled. I might as well withdraw. So I wanted to go to school in my hood so I could trap on the block all night. The school right here, the alternative school, and the block right on the corner. So this around the time Jeezy had 5 in the morning on the corner clocking. So he really inspired me, like, to trap or die for real, you know what I mean?
Oh, shit.
So Jeezy, Yo Gotti, and T.I., they pushing trap music. So, and I wanted money, I wanted cars, I wanted all the materialistic things that I was deprived, I ain't gonna say deprived from, because people that's well off, they just had structure, you know what I mean? I didn't have mom, I didn't have dad, I didn't have nice clothes. So I started off with the dream of getting nice clothes, and then I got addicted to fast money, you know what I mean? So now I'm 16, I'm going to this alternative school. So I remember it was a white girl, she wanted like 100 lower tabs, and she was setting me up. So I'm like, 100? All right, I'm gonna bring them to school for you. So I get to school, and I felt something funny, right? So I'm going to school, I'm leaving, I got a trap phone. I mean, it's booming like every 10, 20 minutes, a play calling. So while I'm in school, this play's calling, I'm going to the bathroom, I ask the teacher, can I go to the bathroom? And I tell somebody to go meet my people that's coming on the next street to the school, right? And so the girl was moving funny. I'm like, where's the money? She's like, oh, my parents forgot to give me the money. I didn't get my allowance. So I'm like, man, I'm sitting in the class. I got this feeling that she's gonna set me up. So I asked to go to the bathroom again. The officer like, hey, you already went to the bathroom. So I'm sitting in there. I asked my bro, I'm like, man, you think this girl's setting us up? Because I told him to give him to her and I'll pay him, right? But he wasn't holding them at the time. So I was like, man, I think she set me up, man. And when I asked the teacher, can I go, I said, man, I gotta use the bathroom again. You gonna not let me use the bathroom? So I'm sitting there, the officer walk in. Before the officer walk in, he was like, bro, we might as well take some of them. So I'm like, yeah, you're right, let's try them. So I'm on the lower tabs with the guy, and I'm moving in slow motion. So we get outside, I wanna run. My house is like the block over. So I'm so high, I'm like floating. I got on a bubble jacket. I got the lower tabs hidden good, right? And for some reason, something told me that she was gonna set me up. I left majority of them in the bathroom at the school, and I had a few of them on me because he asked me to, let's try him. So we tried some, we had some more, and I had it like 2 or 3 of them still in my jacket because I was scared to take a lot of them, just took one. And now I'm high, the officer checking us. I'm like 16, so he checked me, he don't find it. I had to like, you remember the back in the day, the big black bubble jacket with the orange and the fur?
Yeah.
So he doesn't find it. And then he's like, man, let me see your jacket again. He found it. So that was my first charge, right? Possession of controlled substance. So I was forced to go to another alternative school. So I end up, but in my regular high school, I completed all my credits except for 4. So now I'm in this other alternative school. I'm trapping out of there. You're not supposed to have a phone. It's like a juvenile program. I'm trapping out of that school, right? And I remember I'm in there and I leave and I'm selling pounds of weed. At the time I was like 16, I was middleman of like 20 to 30 pounds of weed at a time, right? Guys would hit me up and I'd have to play. But I didn't have nowhere to hide it all. You know what I mean? I wanted more, but I didn't have nowhere to hide it all. And my PO would just pop up anytime. So one particular day, right, I just made a play for like 10 pounds and I broke it down in a Jordan shoebox. I'm like 16. And I took the money and I put it in a sock. And you remember back in the day, they had the jack would connect the phone, the house phones. I snatched the jack out and I put it back in, I screwed it back in. Bro, my PO came to check on me. I had a curfew. I had a card too. I had Grand Marquis, all black Grand Marquis with peanut butter guts. And it was parked out front. My PO came and at 7. So after she came, checked up on me, I came to the door clean. I got J's on. I guess she peeped the plate that I was about to leave as soon as she did her check-in, right? So she left. As soon as she left, I waited like 5-10 minutes. I left. Remind you, I just hit a play and I got this money in there and I still got a shoebox in there. She came back at like 7:45, double back on me. Went in my room, took my money, took the weed. It was like 17.5 in seasoned stems and they charged me, right? I ended up getting an attorney. His name was George Durrell. He was like the drug dealers attorneys that get people off, right? Him and his brother, Dunn. And bro, I ended up getting a suspended sentence and I ended up getting in trouble again. So now I'm on the block, I'm running the cars, and it was called Sting Hard Rock 2005. I was the only juvenile in the Hard Rock Sting for selling crack. It's 2005, it was like 40-something people. I was the only juvenile, me and my homeboy that I convinced him to jump off the porch that same day. The first day he jumped off the porch, I gave him a pack. He ran up to a car, got a cell charge. Oh. So it was a lady, she was a taxi driver, and she came through and she had laundry in a laundry basket on the passenger side with a camera in it. So on my block, bro, they had in the newspaper more drive-thrus than McDonald's. That's how many people, it was notorious to go out there to get crack, right? On Lovejoy, it was called the Country. So they would just drive down the street. It's a dead end, one way in, one way out. So I was young, these guys were smoking so much, I outrun them. And I run to the car, box out, put your hands in the window, boom, this mine right here. And they'd be looking and choosing, right? The lady, she ended up getting me on the camera like 2 times. And I ended up seeing her in the mall after I turned myself in, right? But I just went up to her and I just told her, you're a rat, this and that. I didn't want to do nothing to her because I know that they would hit me for tampering with a witness, right? But I went up to her and spazzed out on her in the mall for setting me up. But it's 2 hoods in my city, right? It's Crosstown and my hood. My hood is notorious for jack boys at the time. There wasn't many hustlers that came out of my hood, right? But the other hood was our ops. They were hustlers. And when we're in school, it's like we can't be beefing all the time. I ended up getting tight when I was playing basketball with one of my homies that was from Crosstown, right? And when the older cats started going to prison, like the streets was wide open, like who gonna be the next big man, you know what I mean? And when I was like 17, 18, I had a vision. Like when I came in here, you was telling me like the DuPont and stuff like that, all the cars, I was infatuated with cars. So I had this vision, I'm like, man, I want a Monte Carlo. Everybody want box Chevys, I want a Monte Carlo. I'm gonna get a Monte Carlo in 28s. And I'm telling these dudes in my hood, they like, man, Jit, you wild, you ain't gonna do none of that. And they had been hustling like 10, 15 years, right? And they still on the block. So now I want to do the opposite of what they're doing. I'm like, man, I'm going to save my money. I'm going to give me a connect. And so I started hanging out at the car shops. And one day I went up there. I saved my money. I was taking a Jordan shoe box, wrapping it up with tape, and just cut a slit in it. You remember like in Valentine's Day at school where you put little cards at the top? That's what I did, and I wouldn't touch the money. So I'm reeing up. Bro, I would hustle to re-up. I wouldn't spend my money. I would go to McDonald's and get the hot and spicy, no fry, hot and spicy, and drink every time. 3 times a day. I spend like $4 or $5 a day just on food and just save my money. But the guys in my hood, they'll always try to finesse, sell you some bullshit work. And I remember one time I got finesse. I went to re-up to buy like a 9. I'm like 16. He sold me some remix, and I was trying to cook it myself, and he wouldn't return it. I'm like, nah, that'll never happen again. So I ended up buying a Monte Carlo 7500. I painted Incredible Hulk and put 28s on it. I was 18. And that's when I'm like, man, I love this car. I spent a lot of money on cars, you know what I mean? So I put 28 dub-inch floaters on it. This is like 2008. And I'm like 18. But I ended up going to a juvenile facility, and I turned 18 in a juvenile facility. So I was kind of like the shot caller in there because I was already known in the streets for getting money. Even when I was in the juvenile detention centers, I was in and out of juvenile detention centers 14 all the way up to 18. So when I got out, my mindset didn't change. That's when I got the Monte Carlo, put on 28s, fiberglass, 40-inch screen, Xbox 360 in it, screens all through it, and I started hanging out at the car shops. So then I'm like, man, where can I find a Mexican connect, right? I started hanging out at their bars, going to the car shops, getting on their scene, but I couldn't speak Spanish, right? So now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna approach them. So I started approaching them. I'm like, man, look, I'm not asking them to front. Remind you, I'm saving my money. So when I approach them, I'm like, look, I wanna do business, you know what I mean? And their car shops, they would go put their cars in there, but they wouldn't hang out in there. They'll just leave. So I would just sit up there. I'm like, posted. I'm tired of getting finessed by my own people, you know what I mean? They trying to get over on you. And I end up connecting with one. He still tried to get over too as well. So I'm like, all right, I gotta maneuver. I gotta work my way up the ranks and try to find how I can make my own way, you know what I mean? Get my own big connect. So I was always like ambitious, and my mindset was like, okay, how can I become a big drug dealer and create my own team, you know what I mean? And at the time, bro, I didn't care about my consequences. My great aunt was my only connection to Florida. I didn't have any other family members. So she ended up dying in 2009 holding my hand. So this 2009, Obama just became president, right? And I ended up getting addicted to Lortabs. Like somebody called me, they was like, I got 500 Lortabs. Remind you, I took these Lortabs when I was like 16. I knew the feeling, I liked that feeling, but I never even took them again, right? I wasn't doing no drugs before then. I stopped smoking weed, so I'm selling like 5 to 10 pounds of perp like every couple of days. I only get it, I wouldn't even top my money. I only get it when the people call and they want it. So I just middleman, boom, cash. You know what I mean? So that was the hardest thing, was like to just hide money. So I'm trapping, I'm 19, 20, and I'm like, okay, I want another car. But I ain't have nobody I could trust to put the cars in their name. At one point, I'm 21, I want to buy a Bentley, but I'm seeing Big Meech, he got caught because he was dealing with the exotic cars. So I'm afraid to go cash out. So I see Boosie drop a Camaro with Infernos, Forgiatos. So I go to my car shop, right? So I'm like, hey, I want these same Forgiatos Boosie got on his yellow Camaro. This right before he got locked up. And I'm about to go grab the Camaro. I want to do everything. Once I get it, I want it all done in a week and a half, 2 weeks. I want ostrich insides, outrageous Spectre Flare Blue. I already had the vision how I wanted my car, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna chop the top of my Monte Carlo, same color back to back. I'm going to FAMU homecoming, and I'm gonna win the car show. Bro, I did all this stuff, and guess what they did? It started raining in Tallahassee. They seen me pull up, they canceled the car show. They knew I was gonna win it, but I wasn't from Tallahassee. I'm from Fort Walton Beach, right? So me and my homies pull up, they canceled the car show. It's sprinkling a little bit. I'm thinking like, man, they didn't want to give me the trophy. You know what I mean? So I end up calling Forgiato. So in order to order rims, you got to be a dealer, right? So I had a connection with all the car shops in my city. So I went to this car shop. I'm like, man, look, I want these Infernos, however much you got to pay. I want them here this week. So he was like, bro, they saying you can't get it until the following week. I was like, I need it for the car show. I need them. And I want them staggered, Inferno Forgiatos. Bro, they send them with all the lips the same size, so I'm pissed. So I call him back. I'm like, bro, that's not how I ordered them, right? So they told me that Boosie had them made with the fitting of a 750 Li BMW, right? So I'm talking. I was like, man, put the owner on the phone. Gary Forgiato, he messed up my order. So he apologized. He was like, look, I'll let you, with your license, send me a copy of your license. Anytime you want to order a pair of rims through me, I'll give you wholesale rate. Just show the people whatever shop you want me delivered to, just show them your license. He was like, ride the rims. I was like, but I'm going to paint them blue. He was like, just paint them and just send them back and I'll send you what you ordered, specialized. So I'm like, all right, cool. I rode the rims to Family Homecoming, and then I sent them back. Then the Orlando Classics. That's one of the biggest car shows in Florida, right? I ended up winning the car show there, best paint and best interior. But I didn't stay to get my second trophy. But yeah, bro, it was like I got into drug dealing at a young age, and it was like I became addicted to it. The fast money, it's just hard to just stop. And then I felt like I didn't have no purpose, I didn't have no future. And me growing up without a father figure, it was like, okay, how can I get on the right track? And then having a lot of money at a young age, there was OGs trying to gravitate to me, but I felt like it wasn't genuine. You know what I mean? They was trying to get around me to get what they can from me. So when I was younger, remind you, these guys that been on the block in my hood, been trapping, they way older than me. They wouldn't serve me when I was young. So all my little homies, I made it where they had to buy from my homies. You get what I'm saying? So, and I was supplying the other hood as well. So it was like, okay, now my homies from my hood, they were jack boys. So I kept kind of like peace because I tell them don't rob them because that's mine. It's like you robbing me. You get what I'm saying? But then by the time I turned like 21, I got into club promoting. I started my own club promotion company. Straight to the Top Entertainment. One of my biggest shows was with Nicki Minaj in 2011. So I ended up getting put on the game because my boy Exclusive J, that was T-Pain's manager, right? And T-Pain's manager, Exclusive J, he introduced him to Akon, right? He ended up getting killed in like 2012. I was supposed to do a show. He had a show lined up for me for like 100 bands for Drake. And he ended up getting killed with the back end money in Jacksonville. And Akon and T-Pain put up $1 million. They posted on Twitter like, whoever let us know who killed our brother, we got $2 million. But he taught me the game with the club promoting. He was like, man, look, K.I., you come here every weekend in Tallahassee and you helping these promoters on the back end because they'll hit me up like, hey, we got a section, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, or you want a section on stage. And bro, I used to spend like 10 grand, just 15 grand just going to party on the weekends with my homies. My homies would be like, bro, we can't hang with you. We spend too much money. I'd be like, man, look, I got you. When we get back, just splurge. You know what I mean? That was a lifestyle that I was addicted to. Just to be able to splurge and do what I wanted. You know what I mean? It's hard to walk away from that. And if you want to fast forward, right? When I ended up going to prison, it was like everything came to an end. I'm 23. I'm locked in a cell. Remind you, I was addicted to Lortabs and lean for 4 years, right? I ended up getting myself off of Lortabs in 2012.
Can I ask you, what are lower tabs?
Hydrocodone.
Oh, okay.
Bro, I was spending $300 a day. I was spending $2,000 a week just on my habits.
Damn.
And then it got to a point when I was buying the pints of lean. At that time, it was $50 a bar. So I was spending $800. I bought 2-3 pints of lean at a time. So it was like I felt myself going down like a dark path. You know what I mean? I was spending so much money, and I was making a lot of money at the same time, but I wanted change, right? So when I was a club promoter, dealing with that nightlife, it's like, okay, it's hard to manage dealing with the nightlife and trying to get yourself off drugs and trying to change at the same time. Remind you, I didn't have a father figure, so I'm like, okay, now let me figure out something else. I started a carpet cleaning company. I knew the owners of the hotels, right? So one day I was in a hotel, I took off my Gucci shoes, and my feet got wet. So I called the owner. I'm like, why is the carpet wet? He was like, we just got the carpet clean. I'm like, look, if I get a carpet cleaning business, will you give me the contract? Because I knew him since I was like 15, because I used to rent hotels. My uncle used to grab the hotels from me, because after I caught the cell charge, I stopped trapping on the block. I switched up my hustle, right? And when I'm there and I talked to him, he's like, yeah, I'll give you the contract. So I ended up finding a business. I bought somebody's old business for like $13,500, and I ended up getting that contract. So I did a good job with cleaning the carpet. I ended up finding a old smoker that worked for Stanley Steamer. So he became my employee. So me and him, we going to knock out the whole hotel. I got to pay. So now that owner, word of mouth, he gave me Days Inn, Super 8, Best Western. So now I'm cleaning all these places, right? But right before I got indicted, you know, I mixed business with pleasure. There was this chick from my city. She was like video vixen. She had clout back in the day. She was in Gucci Man videos and stuff. And I ended up dealing with her, but I wasn't in a relationship with her. But that was my ex-friend. But at the time, she wasn't my ex-friend, right? So I'm in Chicago. I know I'm about to get indicted. I'm watching the 49ers and the Ravens. You remember when the Ravens won the Super Bowl with my aunt. So I know I'm about to go feds. So I want to go see my aunt and get some personal things of my mom's. So when I got back, bro, my ex sold my whole carpet cleaning company, all my stuff in the back of my van. So remind you, I was trying to get out the game. You know, I was an entrepreneur at heart. Like, I was a hustler. I knew how to network, and I knew how to put together a big business plan to execute it, right? So I had the carpet cleaning business I'm trying to stop. So after that, when my whole equipment was gone, I'm like, all right, I went back head first. And I ended up getting set up by some guys in Mobile. They set me up. They told them I was a Mexican, I was tied to the cartel. They told these people all type of lies, right? So now these people pressing me. My case was never fed. My case was state. I fled from them after they set me up in Mobile, Alabama, right? I fled from them. They gave my case to the feds. Bro, they added up all this amount of dope. They're saying I was dealing with the guy for 3 months, and they put a large amount on me, right? And now I'm like, man, all right. So they sent my indictment in the mail. So I get the indictment in the mail. I go to the post office to sign to get it. The feds in the post office watching me get the letter, right? So I get the letter, I'm looking at it. So I'm like, all right, why should I stop now? So I'm like, okay, I might as well push it to the limit. So I made a decision, bad decision. It was a drought. I was known to have it in a drought. When nobody else had it, I had it, right? I had to work. So my homies were like, man, I want this, I want that. So I'm like, all right, I have it tomorrow, right? I end up getting on I-10, driving to Texas. Bro, I'm driving down I-10, I get to Texas. I stop at this chick house in Texas, but I handle my business, but I didn't turn and go right back, right? So that following morning, I'm driving and I get caught in traffic in Texas. So when I get caught in traffic, you know how you're on the interstate and the officer is finishing a ticket? So the car is pulling off, the officer pulls off, and he gets right beside us, right? My cousin is in the car, and my cousin in the car, I'm like, bro, put on your seatbelt. So he didn't have on a seatbelt. The officer came up, looked in, seen he didn't have a seatbelt on, slowed down, got behind us. Bro, the music is on. It's Rich Homie, let's have a party, right? So my cousin like, what you about to do? When he threw the lights, man, I just floored it. High speed chase, right? I can't do a high speed chase going over 100 miles per hour and argue with my cousin what to do, right? So I told him, look, I'm gonna get off on this exit, you jump out and run. Because you know, by law, the officer has to stop the vehicle and protect civilians, right? He can't chase both of us. So I get off in Beaumont, Texas. I drive around the movie theater. It's just one officer at a time. And I'm like, jump out, jump out. He froze up. I gave him like $3 grand out of my pocket. I'm like, jump out and run. He can run with everything and I get the fleeing and looting and that's it. You know what I mean? And bro, I get off. I go around the movie theater, take the officer around the movie theater. A dump truck tried to do a citizen arrest, blocked me off, so I'm like in a Buick Rendezvous. It only go like 110, 120 max. And I drive it like a four-wheeler. I go over the median, and I go on the opposite side of the road. And I take the police officer around the Holiday Inn and the gas station. I'm telling him to jump out again. He freezes up. He tells me, go up the opposite side of the road on I-10. So I went head on with traffic for like 30 seconds. I'm like, bro, you suicidal. Boom, I went back over the median. So now I'm going high-speed chase. High-speed chase was like 48 minutes. But I'm going on and off. He froze up and then jump out, right? So they put the spikes down. I maneuver around the spikes. I'm going on and off, hoping I can make it to Louisiana. And I end up getting to the last exit in Texas, and I go off the express road. In Texas, you can ride right next to the interstate. And I'm going on and off the express. And I got to the last one, and it was like a split-second decision I had to make, right? The police officers were at the last exit, and they're standing like this, like over my dead body. You either gonna hit us or try to hit this U-turn. So I try to hit the U-turn, going like 95 miles per hour, and the back tire on the passenger side blows out. And it caused the car to like hit the concrete pillar like this, going 90. And bro, it was like an outer body experience. I know it was nothing but God. I like blacked out, and I like seen like white lights, and it like flashed, and then I just came back, and I took off my seatbelt, I jump out. I got on Fendi shoes, so they very narrow. So when I jump out, I kind of like roll my ankle. And I got probably like 15, 20 feet. Officer hit me with a taser. So now I'm on the ground. I'm hoping my cousin alive, because I spin over and I skin my face on the concrete, because they got me on the concrete. I spin just to look at the truck to make sure my cousin is all right. And I skint my face, and the officer like stumped my head on the ground and then skint my face some more. He was like, you see what you did? You put civilians' lives in danger. And I'm just sitting there. So then all of a sudden I hear my cousin start like screaming, crying. His leg is turned. The hardest bone to break in your body is your femur. He broke his femur. His leg is turned backwards, facing his ass. And he's screaming. They snatching him out, and it's pulling his leg. So I'm pissed to the fact that he didn't throw everything. So now they don't put half a brick on the hood, and now the police, all the news people come. They put me on the front of the newspaper. I get in there. I end up burning out $55,000, $5,500. I get out. I slip through the cracks. It's Easter. The bells bomb and let me out, and I had a federal hold. I guess they just wanted the money. They took the money. I get out. So now I'm out for like 2 weeks. I'm wanted by the feds, and I got this state case in Texas, right? So I'm riding one day, my homie with me, and basically I sacrificed for him because I didn't want him to get tied up in my bullshit. I knew the feds was looking for me. So I'm in a town where I'm familiar with. I could have put him on a high-speed chase and jumped out and ran, but I'm thinking about my homie, like I don't want him to get caught because he's not familiar with the city. If I get out and run, he gonna get caught. So what I did was I just pulled over. I'm like, bro, just run. You know what I mean? I pulled over, and I got out, put my hands up. He ran, and he did exactly what I anticipated in my head. He hid up under a house right next door. And the dude shot at him, the dude's yard he was in, and then he ended up running to my, he seen my guy that used to work for me cleaning the carpet. He let him in, right? But if I'd have got out and ran, he would have got caught. And then I didn't want that on my name that he got tied up in with me, you know what I mean? But I ended up keeping 100 or all my homies. Some of them looked out while I was doing my bid. But while I was in there, right, I was focused on how can I change my mindset, right? I knew, okay, this life is over. I know I got a lot of time to do. I weigh like 145 pounds. And you know, in the jail, you start hearing about the politics, the gangs in federal prison. So I ended up getting sentenced to like 70 months. However, they said, okay, you still got to go see Texas, because they tried to like send my attorney to me, hey, we'll offer you a plea agreement and we'll sweep that Texas case on the rug if you cooperate with us. I'm like, man, I can't do nothing. I can't help y'all. Bro, I ended up getting to Memphis, Tennessee.